Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 9 o'clock. It's a Tuesday. It's time for another video. Now, this is normally where I do a magic news. Normally, I present news to you that's happened this week. The problem is Michael is on holiday this week in Singapore, and I have the busiest week of my life. I'm actually filming this before Michael goes away, and I know I'm not going to have time to do a magic news and edit it myself because Michael won't be here and get it up. And I normally film the magic news on the Tuesday because I like it to be current. So instead, we're going to have magic news next week. We'll do a bumper 2-week magic news, and today I'm going to do a video that a lot of people have been asking for, and it's a video all about Halloween. And you know I'm taking this seriously. I've got notes, and this is a video all about Halloween. So let me explain. Halloween is just coming up. I'm filming this. I think it's on Tuesday. I think it's the 3rd of October. By the time you see this, it's going to be about the 5th or the 6th of October. Halloween is coming up in just 2 or 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, depending on when you're watching this. Now, Halloween, for me, is huge. We get so many Halloween bookings. We've been booked up pretty much solid for the week before and the week after Halloween, I don't know, for probably a few months now. And whether you're a kids magician, stage magician, whether you're a close-up magician, having a act that you can present that's themed to Halloween will open so many doors for you as a professional performer. And also, if you're a social performer or an amateur or a hobbyist, you know, it's nice to be able to have a few tricks that you can do, that you can theme to Halloween, and you can do sort of themed magic. Now, you can go and spend a fortune on Halloween-themed magic. Spooky magic. You absolutely can, and some of it is amazing. Jamie Dawes has pretty much made a career out of creating magic that is designed to be kind of spooky and Halloween themed. You know, if you go into the Alakazam website and you search up terrifying taboos, tackling terrifying taboos, there's like 8 or 9 of those. He's done one every single year for God knows how long. That's all about routines that Jamie has created for Halloween-themed presentations. And that's not even taking into consideration the physical products he's brought out over the years as well. And it's not just Jamie Dawes. Loads of companies have brought out Halloween-themed tricks over the last 20, 30, 40 years. Even I've got a Halloween-themed trick, which is monsters, which is amazing. I bring that out every Halloween. To be honest, I do it throughout the year, but Halloween is when monsters probably gets more flight time than any other trick that I do because it was designed as a Halloween trick. There's lots of places that you can go and spend money on. Absolutely fine. And a lot of Halloween themed tricks that you buy, you can do year round because, you know, it's not just Halloween that people watch scary movies. However, what this video is all about how, let's say you're on a limited budget. Let's say you don't have time to buy a new trick. This video is about how you can theme your show or your performance or your tricks, excuse me, how you can theme your trick, your performances, your show, how you can theme all of that to fit to a Halloween theme. So you can take the existing tricks that you've got and you can theme them, and you don't have to spend any money on new tricks. You don't have to buy any new tricks. You don't have to spend time learning new tricks. You can just go out and you can do the tricks that you do, but put Halloween theme on it. And that's what a lot of people have been asking on this channel for me to do. So that's what we're going to do today. And I'm going to break the video up into 3 sections. We're going to look, and I've got notes here, we're going to look at stage magic, we're going to look at close-up magic, and we're going to look at kid shows. So we're going to look about how we can take stage magic, close-up magic, and kid shows, and how we can theme those shows, all those tricks, to a Halloween theme. So let's get ready. We're going to start off with stage magic. Let's get into this right now. Okay, so let's start off by talking about stage magic. And look, here's the thing. I perform on stage probably more than I do close-up at this point. I do an awful lot of stage magic, and I always try to theme my show around Halloween to a Halloween theme. Now, it's a lot easier to do with an illusion show because you can talk, you know, if you're doing a soaring in half, it's a lot easier to theme a soaring in half to a Halloween theme than it is, you know, like a silk production, for example. But to be honest, it's all about atmosphere. If you take any stage trick and you tweak it, and more importantly, you tweak the presentation, suddenly the same trick feels like it's in a haunted house. And I genuinely believe that. And a lot of the time, it's down to music. A lot of the time, it's down to musicality. Now, I've talked about music in stage shows so many times on this channel, but I can't stress it enough because it's the thing that a lot of people forget about. When close-up magicians kind of move into stage magic, because as a close-up magician, you don't use music, it's something that a lot of stage magicians don't bother using. They don't use music. But you can take a trick that you do silently and you can have a track underscore it that's kind of a spooky theme, got a spooky kind of feeling to it, and immediately you're halfway there towards theming it to a Halloween theme. Music is so important. The other thing that I've put here is, as well as music, and I've said eerie soundscapes, which is very, very true. The other thing that you can do is the lighting as well. If you're fortunate enough to be performing a stage show where you have control of the lighting, you use reds and purples and greens, that's going to immediately make it feel more Halloween-y than just a white wash, if that kind of makes sense. So the lighting that you use is important as well, as is the costume. If you really want to go all in when it comes to theming, then the costume is important as well. Accessories and Halloween type accessories really add a lot, as does how you decorate the stage. You know, this is something that a lot of kids entertainers will do. They'll have Halloween themed banners and so on and so forth, because with kids entertainers, Halloween is huge. Right? So theming the lighting, theming the music, and theming the costume, and theming the props are all really important. We'll talk about a couple of tricks in a second and talk about tricks. But the other thing to really consider is the presentation. Think about how you actually present the trick. If you do a trick to music and it's an upbeat track, you change that track from an upbeat track to something a little bit more darker and sinister, you've got a completely different feeling trick. So, for example, one of the tricks that Ryland does in his show, because he's working all through Halloween in Blackpool, at the House of Secrets in the Tower Ballroom, one of the tricks he does in his show is the Fantastic Balloon, which is a balloon floating effect. And he uses some really upbeat music. He uses kind of a techno version of Sing, 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 which is great and fits the trick perfectly. But he's doing the same trick this year, but we've put a Halloween track over the top from Casper the Friendly Ghost, which is still upbeat and still fits the trick perfectly. But because of that different style of music that's playing in the background, it makes the trick feel completely different. It now becomes this spooky thing where the balloon is floating, not like it was before, where it's kind of floating and he's in control of it, but almost like the balloon's floating and it's out of Ryland's control and he has no control over this balloon, but it's still floating, right? So the music you use is obviously really important, but also the presentation. So I've got a couple of examples. The first example of how you can take a stage trick and change the presentation to make it more Halloween themed is zombie ball. You can have a floating ball or a floating skull controlled by the spirits. To be honest, any type of zombie style presentation, like a floating table, can be made to feel scary instead of wondrous. A lot of people do the Lysander floating table and make it like this wonderful magical moment, but you can make it really dark and really sinister, like it's floating around all over the place and you have no control over it. Any sort of floating effect. Perfect example is in Ryland and Thea's Halloween show. They're doing the Dancing Hank in the Magic and Mischief show. They're doing the Dancing Hank. Now, the Dancing Hank, the way they normally do it, is kind of a kid show thing, where it's like a look, no see, the handkerchiefs jumping around where they're not looking. But the way they're going to be doing it now is they're going to be doing it and the handkerchief's coming alive and they've got no control over this handkerchief, and, you know, sinister forces are making it move, and, you know, that sort of thing. So any type of floating effect works really well. If you've ever seen the Mask by Igor, which is fantastic, it's like a zombie effect with a mask. Ryland does that an awful lot. If you see his Penguin show from the archives on Magic TV, you see him doing that. That's the perfect Halloween trick. That floating mask floating around all over the place is absolutely wondrous. The next one I had is Sands of the Desert. If you've been following Ryland's career, you know it's his favourite trick, Sands of the Desert. Well, that can be all about a witch's cauldron producing coloured potions. So you can, you know, if you change the bowl and you change the way that the table looks and you talk about, you know, witch's cauldron, that works perfectly as a Halloween trick. You obviously have to change the music, but that's the point. Escapes. You know, you can easily make an escape turn into a Halloween themed trick just by changing the way that it's presented. You know, breaking free from the vampire's chains is what I've got here. And metamorphosis, you can talk about spirit transfer, you can talk about soul vanishing. Now that's just taking existing tricks and making them, you know, changing them up and changing how they look. But you can take things like spirit slates, and you can have seances and communicating with the dead, and it depends on how far you want to take this. You know, a lot of the time with stage, you want to make it big and you want to make it bold and grandiose. Ryland and Thea are closing their House of Secrets show with Thea dressed up as a little girl from Exorcist, and he's going to do an exorcism on her using the spontaneous levitation. So he's going to do an exorcism. Well, first of all, there's a head and body twister as her head goes round and round, and then she's going to lay on the thing, and he's going to do an exorcism, and she's floating up in the air, and it's all going to be done to the Exorcist music. And I mean, that's the perfect way to theme a trick, right? So if you're a stage magician, it's not really that difficult, but it's even easier if you're a close-up magician. We're going to look at that next. Okay, so the note that I've put here when it comes to close-up magic and theming them to a Halloween theme is close-up is about reframing. You don't need pumpkins and bats, just change the story. And that is so true. It's all presentation with close-up tricks. And I thought the best way to deal with this is to give you a few examples of tricks that you all probably do, but how you can theme them to really kind of drive home that Halloween theme. So first of all, ambitious card. Now we all know the ambitious card is the card coming to the top of the deck. Well, what if you actually had the spectator draw a monster on the back of a card, or a zombie or a vampire? They drew a vampire on the card instead of signing the card. And then the card goes down into the middle of the deck, and that's the equivalent of the card being buried into, you know, the body being buried. You know, the body gets buried in all of the dirt, and everything goes on top of the body. But then you wait until the morning and the zombie has risen, and then you show that the card's on the top of the deck. It's the perfect presentation. You could even use a mystery box and have a little wooden box there, and the end is that, you know, like the only way to stop a zombie is to you know, trap him in a wooden box, and, you know, you show the cards in the box at the end, or whatever you want to do. But that whole idea of the card coming to the top of the deck, not through sleight of hand, but because it's representing what happens when that vampire or that zombie gets buried into the dirt, you can really make that presentationally make sense. And a lot of the time, like I say, with close-up, that's all you need to do. People are looking for a presentational change. Coin vanishes. You know, you can have ghostly coins phasing in and out of reality. You can talk about this is a haunted coin, and you probably don't believe me, but this is actually a haunted coin. And you can reframe the vanishes and appearances to go alongside this coin is like a ghost, you know, and it ends up in your pocket. Look, it's in your pocket. It's trying to get you, whatever the case may be. Mentalism is another perfect example. You know, if you do mentalism style predictions, instead of you making the prediction can actually happen through a ghost. You know, for example, you could have out to lunch, and you could have an out to lunch principle, and in ghostly handwriting, you could have the 7 of diamonds set up as an out to lunch reveal, for example. So you get someone to sign a business card, they hold on to the card. You talk about the ghost of Harry Houdini. Harry Houdini wasn't just an escapologist, he was known as the king of cards. And let's see if we can get Harry to do a card trick from beyond the grave. Force the 7 of diamonds. Harry, are you here? If you're here, make your presence known. Or did you see the light flicker? He's here. And eventually, when they turn the card over, it's Harry has written the name of the card on, you know, on the business card in their hand. Perfect example. Another one is card to pocket. I put down here card to pocket. The cursed card follows you everywhere. So they pick a card, they sign it. What's the card? Oh no, that's the cursed card. Did you realize that cards can be cursed? Yeah, it happens an awful lot Halloween. That card is always out to get me. No matter how many times I put that card in the deck, it always ends up in my pocket. And I don't understand why, because my pocket's empty. It's freaking me out. And it's kind of that energy that you put into it. It's freaking me out. I don't understand why this is happening. It's scary. It's scaring me. That's kind of tongue-in-cheek pantomime scarediness is perfect for that sort of thing. Then, of course, you've got haunted deck or rising card or anything like that. I mean, that just writes itself, right? Having a haunted deck and the card rises up out the deck, that's you controlling the spirits. That's you commanding the spirits to have the card rise out the deck. One of my favorite ideas that I thought of is Triumph. You know, and you can talk about the witch's curse shuffles everything until right before leaving one cursed card. One thing I was thinking about is almost going down a Gypsy's Curse style presentation, where you could talk about how you annoyed a gypsy one day, and she threatened you, and she cursed you, so that you know, no matter how many times that you shuffle a deck of cards, it always gets mixed up. You know, no matter how many times, and you shuffle the cards so that they're shuffled the correct way, face down, and then when you spread through them, they're all mixed up. Think cheek to cheek deck, for example. And no matter how many times you sort these cards out, and then you shuffle them properly, every single time you look through the deck, they're all mixed up. And the only way that you could get this curse to stop was revisiting the gypsy who, you know, asked you to pass silver over a hand, and when she did, now you've sorted it out and you've got your magical powers back, or whatever the case may be. And now it's the Triumph, and there's one card there, and you know, that sort of thing. You know, using Triumph is a perfect example. I've got the invisible deck. You know, you could have an invisible deck, but you could write like the name of a killer on the back of every card, and so you could force maybe through digital force bag, you could have a list of 100 killers, and you could force the name of a particular killer. And then you bring out the deck of cards. The spectator's been holding this the whole time. You have somebody name a card, and when they spread through the card, when you spread through the cards, one card's turned over, and it's their card. And then when you turn it over, it's got the killer's name on the back, almost as if that killer found the card from beyond the grave. You know, somebody who maybe got, you know, like sent, you know, the death penalty or something like that. Out of This World is a perfect way of doing it. You've separated the mortals from the vampires perfectly. You know, you could talk about evil cursed cards. Did you realize the black cards, the evil cards, the red cards are the good cards? Let me show you. And you know, Out of This World and Oil and Water both work in that regard. Coins Through Table is perfect. Just like a ghost walking through a wall, you can represent how ghosts walk through walls using Coins Through Table. Card Warp is a perfect example. Ring Flight is a perfect example. Sponge balls, I've talked about how I put down here, you can do sponge balls with eyeballs or with little pumpkins and stuff like that, and you can have a really cool sponge ball routine where, rather than making it look like you're just manipulating these balls and they're running around all over the place, it's happening in their hand, and again, it's out of your control. There's so many different options. I have put down here a couple of ideas. If you're doing a Halloween gig, rather than having your props in your pocket, put them in a wooden box or a pouch or something like that. Make it look like it's these old props. Use a deck of cards that looks like it's aged, like one of those aged bicycle cards would work really well. You know, just make it look like the cards have been handed down forever. And most importantly, when you're doing a Halloween gig, pace it down slower. You know, I've put down here slower pacing. You know, create tension. Become a storyteller. I'm not the greatest storyteller in the world, but you know, I do routines that involve stories, and a lot of them are bizarre themed that I will crack out at Halloween. You know, become a storyteller. Tell a story, and the magic becomes the you know, the kind of the end part of the story. It's very, very easy to theme close-up magic to a Halloween theme. All you have to do is just look at your repertoire, write down the tricks that you like doing, and think about how you can actually adapt them. Okay, so the final thing that we'll look at is kid shows. Now, I've put down here, for kids, remember, it's fun scary, not nightmare scary. Now, we are probably doing, as a company, probably about 500 or 600 Halloween shows, probably more than that, over a week and a half. We're doing hundreds of Halloween shows, and people tend to book these months in advance. And we've got tricks that we do, that we theme the tricks to a Halloween theme. We've also got spooky monster parties that we do all year round, because we found that these packages are really, really popular all year round. But when we theme tricks in our kids show, it's, like I say, it's fun scary, not nightmare scary. But the theming of the tricks, you can do exactly the same tricks that you do in your normal show, but you just put a Halloween spin on it. So it could be, and you know, as a kid's entertainer, you want to have a character anyway. It could be, hey, my name's Craig, and you know, as well as being a magician, I'm actually a monster hunter. I actually hunt monsters. It's a part-time gig. I get very busy this time of the year. As you can imagine, it's Halloween, and I thought, as I'm here doing a party for little Johnny over there, I thought what I'd do is, as well as showing you a magic show, I'd actually tell you how to become a monster hunter. Would you like that? And they go, yeah, I'd love to do that. Okay, fantastic. Then the tricks that you do are illustrating how to be a monster hunter. So, for example, if you do a puppet routine, you say, now you don't want to go hunting for monsters on your own. You're going to need somebody there with you. Luckily, I have a sidekick. I have a best friend. Who here has a best friend? I have a best friend. His name's Charlie. He's a dog. Who'd like to meet Charlie? Okay, you would. Brilliant. So the reason for bringing the puppet out is you're explaining to these kids how to be a monster hunter. You know, if you're doing a colouring routine, let's say you're doing the colouring book, for example, you could do that as you're teaching the kids how to be magic. You know, a lot of monsters that you hunt, they have magical powers, like witches and wizards and things like that. So you really need to be able to do magic as well. Who'd like to learn how to do magic? Okay, have you ever done magic before? We'll start it really simple. I'll teach you how to do magic colouring. Who likes colouring in? Okay, now I'll teach you how to do magic colouring. That can be your first spell, whatever the case may be. And then depending on the tricks that you do, you can very easily theme everything that you do to Halloween. It's just everything falls into this narrative of teaching the kids how to be monster hunters. And if you do party games, you know, using stuff like using music like Ghostbusters and Monster Mash, you know, and then doing Halloween themed games is very, very easy to do. I made a couple of notes here, story hooks, because kids magic is all about the hook. The hook line is the most important thing when you're doing kids magic. That's what you say in order to get the kid interested in what you're doing. You know, if I just bring out a pack of cards, they're not going to be interested. But if I say this pack of cards was a pack of cards owned by Batman when he defeated Joker, now they're going to be more interested. So a couple of hook lines here: helping the friendly wizard defeat a naughty ghost is a great one. You know, teaching the kids how to be a monster hunter is a great one. Searching for vampires is a great one. Tips with costume: you want to have a colourful shirt. You know, I've got this great, I wear black jeans and a black t-shirt, surprise, I know, but I also wear this really cool shirt that's got all pumpkins and skulls on it, and it's colourful, but it's obviously Halloween. So have yourself, you know, dress something slightly different to what you normally do, and the music that you want to make sure that all the music is Halloween themed, and a lot of it's really good. If you go on Spotify and you search Halloween playlist for kids, there's a million different songs. Like I say, Monster Mash and Ghostbusters are great. If you're running a disco party and you've got Halloween music, that's perfect. If you're doing a magic show, there's a lot of music that you can have underscored underneath that works brilliantly. You know, we talked about Dancing Hank earlier on. If you do a Dancing Hank routine, that's perfect for a kid's show at Halloween, especially with sort of Casper the Friendly Ghost music. And when you're getting the kids to shout magic words, or you're getting the kids to interact with you, you want to make sure that they're making like noises and spooky noises. Perfect example of this is Russ Brown. If you've ever seen Russ Brown's show, he has this amazing trick that he does where he's getting the audience to cheer at the beginning. He's got cards with different things that the audience say, like, okay, you might want to cheer, everyone cheer, you might want to do this, everyone do this. At Halloween, he's got another version where it's all spooky sounds. It's the same trick, but it's different because of how he's framed it. And I think that's the most important thing when you're a kids entertainer. Again, it's very easy to theme to Halloween. You just have to make sure that you're taking those tricks that you're doing and you're just giving them a presentational twist. So there you go, guys. That's another video in the bag. Thank you once again for joining me here on Magic TV. Was this video useful? Let me know down below. Do you have any Halloween performances, whether you're a social performer or a professional performer? And are you doing Halloween themed tricks in your show or in your performances? And if you are, what are you doing? Do you have a favorite Halloween trick? Let me know down below. Is it one that you've come up with yourself that's adapted from something you do normally? Or is it a custom-made, custom trick that you've bought from a magic shop that's designed specifically for a Halloween audience? Let me know in the comments down below. Now, don't forget, you want to see more videos like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm back again tomorrow with the Craig and Ryland review show, and I'll be back next week with the magic news. Don't forget to join the Netrix. It's my online streaming platform for magicians. You simply go to thenetrix.com. I'll see you again. Thank you so much for watching. My name's Craig, and you have been watching Magic TV.